I've always been inspired by science fiction stories. I've been a huge fan of science fiction literature all my life and started reading it at quite an early age. Isaac Asimov stories in particular were ones that really influenced me when I was younger and continue to do so to this very day. And I guess for me, what I was trying to do with this movie, one of the things I was trying to do, and the things that excited me about this movie is the chance to make a real honest-to-goodness robot movie, the sort of definitive robot movie. So often robots in films are actors pretending to be robots or guys dressed up in sort of robot suits. And I really wanted to try and create completely authentic and believable robots in this film. I've had two experiences. One was The Crow and the other was iRobot, where I arrive at a city which for some reason had to be the place where we had to shoot this particular movie. In The Crow's case, it was Wilmington, North Carolina, and iRobot, of course, was Vancouver. And I'm not wishing to disparage Vancouver in any way. It's a great place, great town. The crews are fantastic. But it doesn't immediately strike you as a place to shoot Chicago 2035, you know, just as Wilmington, North Carolina certainly did not strike me as a place to shoot contemporary Detroit. So it was a challenge to do that. I mean, we had to really look hard to find tiny little bits of the city that fulfilled what the script needed. A lot of it was dressing, a lot of it was created digitally. But it certainly didn't lend itself easily in terms of locations to, I guess, what I had in my mind in terms of the look of the movie.
Band-Aid someday.
I've got some right in there. Here, I'll get one for you.
Cut. Let's reset. Back to one. Everyone, back to one. Okay, clean without the on the west side. Just off the top. Down the other. Action.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Here we go. Right.
Action card.
You take me to jail. That's not jail worthy. You cussing?
Your cussing is jail worthy. Okay. Go home, Farmer.
That's ass stuff. Spoon, man. All right, let me get tell my food bucks.
Go home.
Man.
I gotta get one.
We'll come back to it tomorrow.
Come back. Okay.
We might as well like that.
So, going one more time, guys. Everyone.
Coming in. Coming in.
Heads up.
Sweet potato pie. Sweet potato pie.
Look, it's sweet.
So fresh, made this morning at 4 a.m.
Let's see it. Will likes the sweet potato. Huh?
That's correct, that's his. This is his pie.
Cameras set. Action.
Look at that pigeon.
Cut in. Oh. Okay, back to one on the pigeon blade.
That's the pie. Now I get it.
Then go, take one. Make camera marker. Mark.
tunnel that comes back to this air cylinder. And he's on the where he lands is where we pre-measure the rope. It gets back up. We pull the ram in. The ram comes back at the end of the cylinder here. When he jumps, it creates, the ram comes out at speed, creates pressure in the cylinder, which comes out the preset exhaust. And then we have a final exhaust that dumps the air to prevent recoil from the pressure build up in the cylinder.
Hey Dave.
Handheld.
Dave.
Yes.
Dave, can I borrow a cigarette off you?
Absolutely.
I really need a cigarette. I really need it badly.
Look, wait a minute.
Oh.
Say it again.
What? Say what
What
again?
you just said about the scene.
I'm attempting to create a scene in this movie. No, let me start again. I'm attempting to create suspense in a scene in this movie purely through atmospherics and music, and of course montage and juxtaposition. My two favorite words.
Mise en scène.
Mise en scene.
Rolling.
Now we'll probably want to have Will go that side of canvas.
This one he just drops out of.
Yeah. So as long as he's got a gap for the landing shot, like we can stitch it down below, we won't see it up anymore, will we?
Yeah, you can see it down below.
The landing shot before we that way.
Randy, talk to me. I don't need patience.
Ooh!
You want to try it?
Want to try it without the 1 inch in?
Because this 9-inch will give more. We'll be back to it.
And action, Will. Stop! And cut. Try it, Will. Fantastic. Watch that back.
So I don't bite my tongue off.
And the gum?
Because I used to chew tobacco. Never did a stunt without chewing tobacco. Yeah, so now I don't chew tobacco anymore. Now I chew.
Gotcha.
Stand by, guys. Very nice, guys.
I'm a police officer. It's okay. It's okay. Because like a robot can't snatch a purse. Like,
And action. I said freeze! Why did you not respond? First law override. Shut up. Relax. I'm a police officer.
You are an asshole.
ma'am, is that your purse?
Of course it's my purse. I left my inhaler at home. He ran it out too.
When I saw the robot running with the purse, I obviously assumed.
Are you crazy?
Sorry for this misunderstanding, officer.
Don't apologize. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But what are you doing?
Ma'am, have a lovely day.
You're lucky I can't breathe, or I'd walk all up and down your ass.
There's two scenes I'm pretty proud of in the movie, which are completely digitally created. One is the factory where they store the robots, where the whole thing was essentially shot against green screen. nothing was there. There was no environment. We created all the walls, the ceiling, the floors, and all the robots that inhabit the space. And then the other environment I think that was, or really almost a character in the film, is USR. The building, the exterior, the interior, the plaza outside, all those various levels and offices. It was all completely constructed. There's no real location at any point in the film for that. I think the biggest section we built is a piece of the plaza which was built near some train tracks, and we just basically built some of the floor of the plaza.
There you go. That's another PA down. Okay, so this is the day we execute PAs and extras on the set. All right, we've gotten one down already, but they're running everywhere scared, so we're going after everyone. It's a major purge on the show. That'll never make the light of day, so you're wasting a lot of footage there. All right.
We're cutting, resetting. Watch your head, please.
That's where the bench is relative to the painting over there. It's a foot back under the other one.
The other way to do it is let's take a picture and draw.
Well, I can tell you now. You look where the bench is.
Keep your eyes closed, Terry. What about the stairs?
17 Tango, take one. See only marker.
And camera. That's close enough. Minus 1.5 is good. Oh. Thank you, Dave.
Are you done with it?
Yes, no, and
Rolling the camera. Speed.
okay,
Yes, we're running out of film. Then go. Go.
18 Mike, take two. Marker.
and action.
Please don't misunderstand my impatience.
No, go. Yeah, really busy week for you folks around here.
Yeah.
Gotta put a robot in every home. Look, this is not what I do, but I've got an idea for one of your commercials.
Ah.
You could see a carpenter, and he's making a beautiful chair. I'm sorry, I got lost. And then you superimpose on the screen, USR, shitting on the little guy.
Father lost his job to robots. Maybe you simply would have banned the internet to keep the libraries open. You know, I could beg you to be reasonable. Prejudice never shows much reason. No, you know, I suspect you simply don't like their kind.
You got a business to run around here.
Ready?
Right.
We bring air on. Here we go again. I take the cup away. Will, I put him up to this. Here, go ahead.
Do the whole cop thing. What do you think?
I'll send someone to escort you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I've been acting like a real jerk. You know what? This is not how I want it to be.
Okay.
Alex Proyas, you know, the Australian genius thought that he would fall in love with a black dude from Philly. This comes out of nowhere, man. You know, I mean, listen. I'm flattered, you know. I'm flattered, you know, but it's like, I know what it's like to have unrequited love, you know. So let's go ahead and just let him have what he needs.
Must be unrequited.
23 uniform, take 5, Margaret. Set.
And action.
A robot cannot harm a human being. The first law of robotics.
Yeah, I know, I've seen your commercials. But doesn't that second law state that a robot has to obey any command given by a human? What if that command was to kill?
Impossible. It would conflict with the first law.
Right, but doesn't that third law state that a robot can defend itself?
Yes, but only when that action does not conflict with the first or second laws.
Speed. Speed.
And 3, 2, 1.
I didn't put any beats in there because it was just
4 steps back this way.
1, action.
You were startled by a jack-in-the-box. Deactivate.
Let him go.
It's not going to hurt us. I gave you an order.
He's not listening right now, lady.
Vicky, seal the lab.
Command confirmed.
Cut it.
I just want to say I'm so glad you're here to capture this hairdo that I'm putting on today. I think it's pretty nice.
This guy's amazing. He can do anything.
What were you spraying on there, Angie?
Experimental chemicals which...
Strawberry
Flies
banana.
open.
Milk.
Door closing. Driver's door closing. Door's working much better than it did at the landing house.
Yes, thank you.
All right, folks, quiet it down, please. How's everyone? Now. Green screen going in? Sir. Folks, can you see?
And action.
Detective, that robot is not going to harm us.
Lady, I know what it feels like when something wants to kill me, okay?
Perhaps less feeling and a bit more thinking might be called for. Now, there must have been unknown factors, but somehow acting as it did kept us out of harm's way. Robots simply cannot endanger a human being.
Asshole!
It was a left, by the way.
And cut it. Grey one, guys.
It's still too early on the car. Breezy, can you also just give me one when you say you're not serious at this speed?
You're not serious at this speed.
You're not serious at this speed.
You're not serious at this speed.
And you've got to do that.
I don't know what that
You're not
was.
serious at this speed.
I'm saying it's going to be very strange for me to do another movie after this and not be mocked by the actors.
He's only hiring Nicole Kidman next time. That's it.
And action.
You're the robot, Shrink.
There is a robot in this formation that does not belong. Identify it.
One of us.
Which one?
One of us.
Helpful, aren't they?
Look, these NS5s haven't been configured yet. They're still just hardware, basic 3-laws operating system, that's it. They don't know any better.
And cut.
Ready?
Okay, beautiful guys. Just one more for luck.
41 kilo, take 2. Margaret.
And action.
You're the robot, Shrink.
There is a robot in this formation that does not belong. Identify it. Which one?
One of us.
Helpful, aren't they?
Look, these NS5s haven't been configured yet. They're still just hardware, basic 3-laws operating system, that's it. They don't know any better.
And cut. Just one more, please.
God damn.
Off the bell, reloading, please.
Moment you're sitting.
Up a little bit, big boy. I'm like down here a little bit.
42 Baker, take 6. A mark.
B mark.
And action.
So how long would that take?
About 3 weeks.
All right, you go ahead and get started. Robots, you will not move. Confirm command.
Whoa, Detective, what are you doing?
You said that, am I trying to hit these?
that's
okay,
fine.
that's good.
Go to where you
All right. You said that all of these programs, all these robots are programmed with the free rolls, which means that we have 1,000 robots that won't move if it violates a direct command from a human being, and I'm betting one who will.
Detective Spooner, put your
Why
gun
do you give
down.
them all faces? Didn't mean to ask you that.
These robots are not susceptible to intimidation.
I guess if you didn't, we wouldn't trust them. Just lights and clockwork.
Crazy?
Let me ask you a question, Doc. Just thinking you're the last scene, man. That's hilarious.
Ready?
That's a good robotic fall there.
I'm going down the backside. There. Okay, can the silver one go off of it? Right.
And action.
Just lights and clockwork.
Are you crazy?
Let me ask you something, Doc. Just thinking you're the last sane person on the face of the earth makes you crazy? If it does, well, maybe I am.
And cut, beautiful.
Ready.
Good stuff. Okay. Check those things.
There's an impending methane explosion. I'm the only one who believes that this is going to happen so far, but they're shooting a lot of weapons near that opening over there, and that opening is spewing the stenchiest.
So it's not craft service.
No, it's crap services.
Oh, crap services.
And they're serving it up.
Okay.
Did you see what they served with craft services tonight? Burritos, bean burritos.
Oh, well, I guess
it's
it
almost
wouldn't
like
make
some sick joke.
It wouldn't make any difference. You know, nobody would ever know.
Well, I guess that's the comfort. If you fart, nobody can tell. I have to wear these earplugs instead of in my ears, up my nose. And I can only last so long without breathing, and then I have to start breathing. And then you can taste it. It's worse inside. It's much worse inside. See what I said? There's food in there.
You weren't kidding.
Yeah, give me some applesauce.
That's too much.
I thought you were hamming it up a bit, but
No. Like gag, eyes watering, can't eat anymore. They're getting some kind of oil to stuff up my nose so I don't have to gag, swallowing something. It's right here.
Do you want to keep it, or are you just gonna dab it on?
Can I hold on to it?
Yeah,
until
sure.
they come down?
For sure.
what is that?
Peppermint. Peppermint.
Are you
Nibs of my earplugs, and I'm good to go.
And action! And jump! And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and cut.
Loud. Yeah, just remember guys, in the chopper, you're up in the sky, you're being blown around, there's guys down below firing live weapons, okay? So it's not a tea party. Here we go. Sam, do you want to check the beam?
No, I'm coming right at my foot.
Yeah, move your foot.
Okay, is your foot clear?
Yep.
Just make sure.
You don't breathe.
Hey.
When you get and, you start to move in 3, you hit that position. Okay, stand by, and
Are we doing on
3.
hero guns?
Right. And background.
You're so cool. So cool.
There's one sequence which is Lanning's house destruction, where we use some miniatures. But I think miniatures are becoming less and less needed, sadly, because I love miniatures myself. It's always fun to sort of walk onto a set when they're shooting, cityscapes or any miniatures of any sort. But the CG is getting so good these days that it's pretty much unnecessary. You can see the resemblance.
This is lining up data.
Basically, as you turn like that, as you turn for the cat, it's going to be a big jolt. So it'll just be. Yeah.
And action. 1, 2.
And then from there, you'd be going towards the stairs exactly.
3, 4.
And all these bags up above Will are basically going to be dropping stuff just behind you.
Big heavy piece of wood with sharp nails.
That's that bullshit right there.
2, 3, 4. Every cut, nobody move.
Doesn't look like I'm killing the cat.
There's no way the cat would have survived.
I know.
On the railing.
It does look like I probably caught the cat.
You're using it as a pad.
Yeah.
They play as if it really hit you in the head, that stuff would fall down.
I go, ah!
That's right.
And let the cat go.
And let the cat go.
We got sound.
Chat.
Front speed. Will, you ready there?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Ready, and action. Lights.
And order. Cut.
It'd be a little ramp up. Sorry.
It's all right.
Totally ruined the shot. Me too.
Rolling. Set. Here we go. Ready and action.
How'd you like that? How you like that? It's hard to explain what that's like.
Yes. That'll be interesting.
I can do this.
Action.
Back it up. Back it up. Back it out.
You okay?
Yeah, let me not my
Coming in, Bradley.
I'm good.
I'd say something, but it would be Guys, quiet for a sec. Cover your eyes while closed.
We have wet ones here. We got wet ones?
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah, there's no list down. It's pretty crush. Take it to the bathroom and get some.
I'll walk in.
Wow. Give you a wash.
Take the jacket.
20%, sir?
That's Will Smith as a
Yeah.
white man.
Very good.
Action.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's very crazy. I drowned the shit out of that cat. His legs get wet, is that?
Yeah.
58 Apple, take one and
Good boy, stay
And smoke.
alive. Good, stay
And
still.
action.
You're okay, honey. You're okay, sweetie. Stay still.
Yeah, I know, me too.
And cut.
Good boy, stay still. Stay still.
Marker, A mark.
In this film, I think the best action sequence in the movie is the car chase scene, and for me it was a joy to do because I only shot a very small component. All I really shot on the set is Will's reactions inside the car, and the car itself was basically a chopped off section of the car, the driver's cockpit, on a gimbal rig that could move it around. And then everything else is CG, like all the trucks, the road, the car itself, and often Will is computer generated. And so over several months we got to construct the sequence, and I got to finesse it to a degree where I've never been able to do that on an action sequence before. So I'm very happy with the way it's turned out.
Okay, inmate. Today's topic is just making new NS5s on the ship.
We'll do one more.
Load in again, please. Up in this lane here, through here.
Yeah, I was kind of going with yours. It was slowing down, but I let it spread out a bit there when it.
2, alien marker.
Marker. Okay, camera set.
And action.
What robots are you talking
The goddamn robots, John!
Ready?
That was exhilarating. All right, box out.
Box out, please.
Hard left. Middle of the wall. Right. Straighten out. Left. Right. Left again. And cut. Good.
Camera reload.
That's the way to do it. Still,
No, I'm not controlling the car. I'm making it look like it's going fast. But not really.
Can you control that?
We have a few things on the go, I guess. There's a mini tramp onto the car over there. We're going to be setting up a high bar later on. That should be pretty good. Do some one-arm giants and see how it goes.
What's a one-arm giant?
One-arm giant, it's on a high bar, like a gymnastics high bar. And instead of going around the bar with two hands, you're going to go around with one hand.
Phil's doing it first, and then Darryl stand by.
What's the idea of this, Andy?
You don't see what I'm doing.
Basically, we're going to have Phil jump on the car. We have Steve in there acting as Spooner. He's going to be firing at him, shoot his arm off. Phil's going to reach in, try and grab him, and grab the gun as he falls off the car.
1, 2, 3. Sort of twist it for you, Seika. What I would do is come in and go, kick it, go. Yeah. So I'm twisting my inside leg. This leg. I'm just drawing it up.
Are you bringing that in?
Dismount was perfect.
Got that one, right?
Is that exactly what you were looking for in that one, Andy?
That was exactly what we wanted.
What we did before.
Beautiful.
Sorry, guys. Straight again. Straight again. Like that.
This is almost it. The last few shots of iRobot.
I just want to say I want to thank everybody for a great week of capture. I think we got a lot of great stuff this week, and you all rock. Thank you very much.
Yeah!
I just want to say thank you very much to our AD, David Footman.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you to our performers. Yeah! And motion analysis and the crew!
Always be prepared for the scene to be about something other than you thought. Whether you've written the scene or are working with someone else's words, let it be. And sometimes you can find something far more specific. Sometimes I realise one particular line is what the entire scene is about, and that's the point that the scene is revolving around. That's what it focuses on. And it's not the moment or the line that I thought it was going to be. It's just the way the actors do it, and you have to evolve with that process. It's really important. And that's, you know, when I was starting, I felt it was much more about me saying what it was about, saying to the actors, this is what it's about, this is what I want you to focus on, this is what I want you to head towards. But I've learned to relax about that through the years and just discover what it's about.
Down straight. Alpha, get in, echo, take 3. A marker. D mark. Set. Set. Set.
Cut in.
Watch it.
Almost missed the pad.
Yeah, I know.
Set.
Yeah.
Hey, my shoes, Chris. David.
I wasn't that fond of that location. I was very happy to get out of there.
It was kind of like shooting on Mars.
Yeah. It seemed like there was all sorts of bad shit in there, you know.
Well, they wet it all down, and so by the second day we went back there were 1 million mosquitoes there. And
That's brilliant.
so the problem just compounded repeatedly.
That was, I mean, the whole thing about that location too, it was like, it's just containers and it's some dirt on the ground. So I was going, why can't we just shoot this, go to a container storage yard, you know, just go there, put a bit of dirt on the ground and just shoot the whole thing there. And, you know, which would have been a lot cheaper than shipping, you know, 100 containers out into the middle of nowhere. But unfortunately, nothing really works out that way because, you know, the problem with real storage facilities is the containers are getting moved around constantly. Literally every day they've reshuffled the whole thing. And so for us to get in the way of that, I think we were there for about 4 or 5 days, would have just been impractical. So again, we had to recreate it.
Is that a good effect?
See the white one next to the blue one? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Maybe one more. Maybe that one there.
Alright, so these two.
Yeah.
Alright, somewhere. How about up there?
And your hands just thumbs in. So nice and round. So if you're gonna, when you push the door open, push it open, but then directly go into that, and then watch him.
Okay, that's good. Here we go, please. Rolling. And action, Will.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Happy on A.
All right, now.
Okay, Will. What do you want? First there? End of the sticks? That's it.
All right, there you go.
Okay, here we go. Clearing, please.
Rolling out reference.
Rolling.
Reference.
Got it. Thank
Gotta
you.
love that, huh? Good enough? Cutting. All right, guys, we're on to the crane planes. Nobody walk on any of the environment up there, please.
Okay, so do you want to turn the camera on or shall I? Sure.
That's fine, Will. That's great.
So you don't get any snack. Oh yeah.
Every time we do a pass, you walk right back down.
The orange ball is actually...
Cutting. Will's walking back down the same route. Guys,
around.
down. Oh yeah, that's good. If you can go around there.
Direction's better than.
Oh, you can sing it.
Yeah. Yeah? A little shuffle?
Something like that.
George, you getting this?
Right here. The bond right here, but that's all we'll get.
Chris, we only get out this side. Very well. We'll group only from here. With the balance.
The noise is getting a little bit
I didn't build it. I just chased it around.
Full of compliments here. What?
Here we go, rehearsing, and action!
Okay, and away we go. Go.
Right there.
Safe as a slowdown. As long as you can get out of here in some spectacular manner. And I'm Alex, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I'm Alex Proyas.
See, Alex is great. Whatever you'd like to do is. All right.
So Davey's going to run a bit faster.
In this area in downtown Vancouver that we locked down, we staged a pretty major conflict between hundreds of robots and hundreds of people. And we had complete permission to do this. But I don't think the city really understood how loud, 100 people shooting weaponry can actually sound late at night. Well, it took us to about 2 o'clock in the morning to set up, and by that stage, obviously, everyone had gone to bed in the surrounding apartment buildings, and they were woken up to this most unbelievable, thunderous sound of weapons being fired, which actually surprised me as to how loud it was. And we caused a little bit of a ruckus, and the city wanted to shut us down the next day, and we weren't allowed to fire any weapons at all from that point on. And I do remember one particular instance where I was waiting for them to reset for this shot, and I was just sitting on my own just behind the monitor somewhere, and this guy came up to me, and I could see as he was approaching me how unbelievably angry he was, and he was obviously one of the residents. And he made a beeline straight for me, because I guess I was the only one who didn't look like I was doing something, and was just furious and was saying, who's in charge here? Who do I speak to about being woken up? I've got to get up tomorrow morning at an early time, and I'm just furious at what's going on. And he was literally so, I can't even remember what he said, but he was literally so angry he couldn't get the words out. And I, of course, being quite cowardly, said, I don't know, I have got no idea who's in charge here. I said I just dropped in,
Poho, the people coming down your corridor have to go closer to
Hey guys, stand by, here we go, please.
Barrier thing.
Gentlemen, turn your titty lights on!
Background. And action!
Are you gonna fix the lights?
What time is that?
What the heck? When did you make this rule? You're a robot. Hold on, robot man. Hold on a second. Wait up, dog. I'm talking to you.
Okay, let him fire the gun, and don't. It's not a race. All right? You're fighting robots. If you're standing, where's the guy with the bat that's pounding it up and down? You, dude. It's not the Olympics, okay? Let this guy fire the shotgun, and you ran right in front of him. Okay?
I thought that's what you guys did.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
Military sense. Follow the guy with the gun.
Yeah. If you got a pipe wrench, the guy next to you has a machine gun, let the guy with the machine gun go. All right? And then use a pipe wrench to pick up the pieces.
We're on the set of iRobot, 1000 Cordova Street, day 89. It's crazy. 300 people, and this white flag will be used to signal the charge, which will initiate the 300 people moving at high speed towards this piece of black sand, which will provide safety for Paul and myself. Yes.
Cut!
Guys, save the flashlights again.
Right out here.
Okay. Left hand. Anything out here like that?
Okay. Lift your hand up for a sec. Right down.
Okay, good. Just watch your hand in it. All right. Okay, there you go. That's it.
Thank you. Firearms back to the tent, please.
Very nice.
We're about to experience total anarchy. What we all live for. That's why I'm wearing this black hood. Because I'm actually the Unabomber.
What are you doing on this one, buddy?
Hanging out, me, the BFG.
Where are you picking up?
Approximately started at noon.
Okay, so slightly earlier is even better.
Yeah.
So as long as I get a nice level pull away, which is a good cut for Will. So just pick it up nice and early, but just be safe. Got a little bit sparse at the back there, still another 22 frame.
It's just, hitting the ramp at speed and them catching me on the line when I'm coming through. I got a little bit of action, I got to pull the guns out and do the firing stuff and that. Will's got his stuff, they can do the pickup shots and insert on him doing, the beauty moments, pulling out the guns and firing and all that business. The reason we haven't rehearsed with the bike is it's got all the beauty fairings on it, and it's a one meal deal, and we take that into the rig and we'll be wrecking it, so you can't really rehearse with a picture bike. So it's a Husqvarna, it's a good strong bike, it rips really good. Because I got objects, I got a gun in one hand, and I got the other gun pasted to my chest over here, as we talked about earlier. Working the clutch with that, you don't get the best efficiency out of your clutch throttle control with that thing in your hand, but it works out fine. It's not like I'm racing a motocross 250 series national race or anything like that, so it's all right. It's all good.
Do what you
So what's that green wire actually for?
That's to stop me from plummeting to my death.
Okay.
Velcro, bam,
Boom.
clutch in hand, and away we go. We have one of the bikes over there is the aftermath of our fine mechanical expertise and everything. It's the bike we're using, the shot of the post crash after the jump.
action. Back to one, please. After you yelled action, you didn't go.
Did you say action?
Yeah. This is bullshit. Today's not my day. Stop it, man.
I just want you to know I did not hear action either.
See? See?
Sorry.
So Dave took off. So the camera took off. And Shia did Oh, I love this kid, I swear. Oh, man. You don't have a bigger fan, buddy. You Stop, fellas, and go home.
Can I turn a brick? No.
Do you want me? Can I,
I like where we can see a little bit.
There's a light over there, guys.
What did you hit?
Concrete, I fell on my back.
You're all right, love?
Yeah.
Well, other than they just always bleed a lot when they're on a scalp.
Or anything like that?
We go live gunfire.
That's fine.
Right, because I'm going.
Yeah.
Because it's actually cooler to go. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, bow.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing now. But when I'm actually firing,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go bow, 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 bow.
Stop cursing and go home. What? Stop cursing and go home.
Did you just shoot at me with your eyes closed? Ooh.
She is shit hot. You gotta tell her I'm working with some cakes.
Hey, take your ass home.
All right, buddy.
Strip down and I'll be there in a minute.
It was fucking awesome.
What did that PA up there do?
He was fucking around. I told him to give me a sandwich with no pickles.
All right, we'll go on this, please.
See? That PA got it in the ass.
Roger that, sir.
I said no pickles. I can't hear a damn thing because I have ear things in. Could you say it one more time really nicely?
You're the bomb.
I heard that one.
Even I couldn't hear that one.
I heard it. She said I'm the bomb. And that's the truth.
This could be like, you know, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher sort of sit.
Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
Action.
It's like I look at him, I watch him, I see him. He's no cup of tea. Or you can't give me the guns because I'm drunk. I tell you what, I've shot weapons in the streets more since you were a boy.
Rubber guns.
I can pull focus. Craft service, blah, I can do that shit. And I'm starting a petition to have Alex removed from the film.
Yes, sir.
Will you sign it?
You can't really
Yes, sir.
just do that.
You'll sign it?
For you three, yeah, you're the boss.
Okay. That's one. Phil.
Yes.
Listen.
Oh, yeah.
I got a petition
Petition.
to have Alex removed from this film.
Really, buddy?
Are you gonna do it? I need you to sign it.
You pay me like last time?
Fuck you, Phil. Listen, I'm starting a petition to have Alex removed from the film.
Okay.
Will you sign it?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll
Now,
sign
there's
a few
one
times,
man willing to stand up for what he knows is right.
I want to go into space. If I do a sequel for this, which is extremely unlikely, I want to take it into space because, you know, this fits into the Asimov universe, which is at a certain point in the stories, very early in the stories, robots were banned on Earth. They were banned for, you know, it's specified in one sentence, I believe, in the collection, and it's got something to do with they were taking people's jobs away, so they decided to ban them, which seems like a fairly simplistic reason to ban them on Earth. I think we have a much better, much stronger reason now in this movie for why they would be banned on Earth. So I believe that it actually fits in very neatly into that construct, and also my ulterior motive is I want to do a big space movie. So I feel like this could propel the movie into some interplanetary situation.
Now the whole thing is that these two women were scared to high five. Why not the high five? And you watch guys all the time, like after it gets done, they'll wrap around and tap the guy in the ass, go good game.
They don't do that.
You don't watch baseball?
Only football players,
Baseball.
and baseball players do that.
So what's
These
the
guys don't do that. They're like, yeah, good job, man, good job. And then whenever they meet when they see each other or whatever, you always know a stunt guy because they're like, hey, buddy. Dude, hey, what's going on, buddy? Whoa, yeah, wicked. What's happening? Woo, good to see you.
You're about to watch this.
Cover your face. You tell me, do you think it's cool if 3 stunt girls go woo and like high five each other?
High-fiving white girls.
Before you go to set, let's go. Woo!
Yeah, it's pretty gay.
Yeah, see?
And set.
Oh, that stinks.
Here we go.
Out my nose.
You ready? You ready? And action.
I assume we'll discuss what just happened later.
How do we shut her down?
I assume we'll discuss what just happened later.
How do we shut her down?
Vicky's basically a positronic brain.
Kill her. The way you were going to kill me.
Sonny.
So that's Vicky?
No.
That's Vicky.
And 3, 2, 1. Stick just going. No, it's just the.
Down into the hole. All right, and again.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, action!
Don't fly.
No, we're going back out that way. All right, now, strings. Everybody, 133 is going to be softer. Violins and violas, you're going to play tutti tremolo, 133 to 138. 6 bars, all trimmed. Should be tense.
I just snapped these off.
Okay. We want to hear that tune. I think they're in another room. 6 bars. This will be high winds. On the circle the last. Okay. Done.
Okay. 19. Don't clap.
All right, now, straight. Everybody, 133 bars, all trimmed. Should be tense. Well, that's some 14, maybe 14. We want to hear that.
Reset. It's tough work being a stuntman. So you really should drink your milk. Even if it's chocolate, it's still good for you. Taillights are out. Good job, partner.
No matter how right I do it, it feels wrong.
Yes.
Did you record that, Rob? It was very trippy. Can we see that? Check this out.
When we saw it, everybody said, "Wow!" I told Alex, it looks like he's surfing this thing.
Pictures up?
Because, yeah, it is. It does look like he's surfing.
Yep, we had another rehearsal.
It feels natural.
Sure. You happy for the moment? Take a bit of weight off, yeah. Just stand on, that's it, just put a bit of weight on, there you go. There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, on the day it won't be. No, it's all sorted out.
I told her to get me some of those scouted shorts
Yeah,
just in
yeah,
case.
and well, I mentioned that to her yesterday anyways, just for when you're if you're ever hanging or anything like that, because the harnesses are really,
Harness cuts.
it'll close. It's just so fine and small. It's not really.
It gives me an angry inch.
Yeah.
Second team coming out, please, in your positions for the
That's
last
good.
shot.
No,
Monique,
she wasn't wearing a jacket.
Monique, make that up. Come forward a bit more. Go forward a bit more. Forward. Woo.
Too much. Back.
Back half. Make that your end mark.
Whoa.
God. It's good for a really tall woman.
No, it was you got to leave that Viagra alone, man. Don't mess with it, because it really it's dangerous.
Also, if you keep your elbow a little bit like this at first, your left elbow, so it's kind of more like that. That's more like a skydiving balance.
Right here.
Yeah, not quite so far back, just a little further forward. Yeah.
No, just run through the one. You can't always use the manual, dudes. Let's make sure they're in that coma.
Action! God, do it well. Thank you, sir.
This crew has more funny people than I've almost ever worked with. So many characters. People have great senses of humor and great personalities, and people are really silly with, and it's, just really great characters, really good-spirited people, and if the set is indicative of the, how the film is going to turn out, then we should have a really big hit.
Oh man, I ain't even, hey, listen, I ain't even do shit. And it's like they put me in here, and it's like, like I ain't do, like if I was Caucasian, I wouldn't be in here right now. It's like, I killed him, but like he was calling me stupid and stuff, so I killed him.
You got good levels, how's that? All right, you got it? Hey. This is a liquor day. Hey, not for you. Hey. Oops, sorry, Judy. Hitting the makeup, just banging that shit off. All right.
That's a good thing. Yeah! Gate's clean. Woo! He said gate's clean. Good gate. Good gate.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Need Trevor in here, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great. Thanks for keeping it light.
Oh, man. Had a good time. Had a good time.
Come on in. Everyone come on in.
Everybody come on in.
Folks, I just want us all to thank Will, who made the movie possible and just made the experience absolutely fantastic, Will. It's the best one I've ever had.
Well, no, thank you all very much. It's very rare that you can like get paid and have fun. You know, generally when you're doing something you enjoy, you got to do it for free. But it's one of those rare occasions where you can get paid and work hard and still have a good time. And I want to thank all of you because it's been an absolutely beautiful experience, and it's not always like this, trust me. And I just want to thank all of you because it's our fearless leader, Alex Proyas, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to say, I think you've all been fantastic. You've done an absolutely phenomenal job. You know, when they said we had to come to Vancouver to make the film, I went, wow, that sounds interesting. I hear it rains there a lot, and but it's been great. I mean, you know, you're a fantastic crew, so thank you very much, everyone. You've done fantastically well. Thanks a lot. Oh, beautiful, and really, because you know, if it wasn't for you, we would have had to hire other people, so thank you. Thank you, really, from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you. Oh.
Well.
Hey, Alex, hey, seriously, man, get me out of here, man.
You just stay in there, Will.
Alex, get me out of here, man.
Stay in there. And here we go. We're going to go now. We're going to do tape. Okay, we're going to do tape.
Okay. All right, wait till I call Mama now. Wait till I call Mama now.
Yeah, here we go. Rehearsing?
Me and Alex used to be in love. And
action!
iRobot has a fairly extensive use of CGI. In the past, computer graphics have been used in movies to create environments, landscapes, all kinds of things. More and more we're seeing computer graphics used to create characters. And iRobot, I think, really sort of pushes the envelope on that particular use of CGI. One of our main characters is actually computer generated in this movie. And for me, what's interesting about that particular use of visual effects is it suddenly goes away from being purely a technical exercise and becomes more about character and emotion, which I think is what good movies are all about. In this film, I think we're definitely pushing the envelope with that idea and trying to create a fully realised character via computer.
You're seeing full concept illustration, and this is the first vision of the exterior world. It was way more futuristic in some ways. We started the project about a year and a half ago. I got the script and it felt very dark. That was the first pass, Jeff Vinter, and I liked that. And I was when I read the script, I thought, wow, that's Alex, period. And then I called him the next day and I said, hey Alex, this is cool, man. This is exactly the kind of... He said, well, I'm going to stop you right there. This is not going to be like Dark City or The Crow. I want something completely different this time. I want a movie with blue sky, real, documentary of the future. I said, wow, that's a surprise. And I started to design for him for a while on taking that direction, which was very stark futuristic, using Calatrava design, the type of stuff that those big architects do now. We were supposed to shoot it in Sydney. We ended up being in Vancouver after a while. We both came here and looked at the place, and the thing became more textured, less slick. The great thing, though, is I think we stopped at the right place where you have grunge in a movie, dark thing, but you also have bright plaza USR world, which is very pristine,
You have
very
daylight.
stark, very simple. Yeah, not over busy or anything.
Yeah.
This is new for me because I haven't really done that type of futuristic stuff before. It was very much fantasy oriented before. This time, Alex wanted to be much more realistic, and that's the path we're following. I mean, there's some very wild sets, there's some very wild moments. You know, obviously the robots are very futuristic, but at the same time, some of our sets are trying to anchor very much in reality. So it's a new take for me. I haven't done something like that before.
Well, this is just a concept thing, yeah. Different early concept.
We finally decided that the city this thing was happening in was Chicago. For the longest time, we had no idea. This was a generic city somewhere. We talked about LA, we talked about New York, and basically they figured out that it should be Chicago.
You know, there's a couple of key scenes in iRobot that are laser scanned. It's a crew that takes equipment out that basically can recreate an environment in a computer. So it's kind of like creating a 3D model based on a real environment. And then you can light it however you want to. So in this instance, they went and stood at the crossroads of a major intersection in Chicago and captured the entire environment on computer. So now we can, in the movie, we can have a scene where dozens of computer-generated semi-trailers drive up and hundreds of robots spill out in this major intersection in Chicago. To get the permission to actually shoot something like that would be impossible. There's no way you could shut down that intersection, you know, however much money you chose to throw at the city.
So the first thing we did is we took a map of Chicago and started to create our own geography in there. Where does Spooner live? Where is the USR building? Do we see the Sears Tower as a iconic element in there from the, yes, we do, it's there, granny. And then when you start doing this for the director, for everyone, it's a lot simpler to understand the action, the timing and everything, you know, when someone goes to somebody else's house. That's what we did. What you're seeing next to this is also what kind of interesting structure we find here in Vancouver that would be futuristic and feel like our world. And there is a few of them. They are very isolated, one here and there, and not everything was pleasing to us. So obviously you're going to have a lot of CGI behind this, of enhanced building. But there was a few locations like those places which were really, really good for us. Plus we go through the regular, reference material, and we dig for tons of magazines, of architectural magazines, to get more of that material and start putting a package for Alex to kind of react to. Part of the geography of the city, like the suburbs, are grungier. I wouldn't say grungier, they're more as we know them today. And the big impact of the futuristic world has come into the downtown area, where now you have very nice, sleek plazas, everything is white, beautiful, well, white, light color. Gardens. And the more you spread to the suburb, the less of that impact happens, and then you see more and more of the building as we know them today. Spoonerville is actually, what I wanted design-wise to create is a sense of the big power being disrespectful of those places. For example, there's a tram system that goes all around the city. In the downtown, it's in a very beautiful strategic place. It's gorgeous, it fits the landscape. In Spoonerville, it's in the middle of the street. Those pillars that used to be very organized on the downtown are totally out of place, and they're just there, and they just stop in the middle of a building. They're probably going to go in the middle of a building, in the middle of a street. There's a total disrespect. This is how Spoonerville is. And the city itself, the storefront, for example, you have a mix of modern, futuristic, old. It's all mixed up together. The people, the crowd is the same. It's a mix of businessmen that are just going to go by there just to meet people or whatever, and then you have these homeless people there. You want to feel that into the architecture as well. And I end up being into this location, which is probably one of our biggest exterior build as a location. This entire block you're seeing here is going to be transformed into a futuristic city. You're seeing here and there, you're seeing some of those street dressing elements. This is a big elevator that takes you to the parkways, the underground tunnel structure. We're building two of those gigantic glass structures. Also going to keep a lot of those real stores in between. So again, this is that mix of future and everyday life kind of thing.
We tried to put ourselves in the mind space of the people designing the robots in the movie, in that world. And we figured that they would be making creatures that we would feel comfortable having in our homes, comfortable around our kids, our family, doing errands, doing whatever it is that robots will, I think, be doing for us in the future.
We started to go in any direction possible. First of all, for me, I had to do that to see where Alex would feel comfortable with. So I went into some extremely hardware robots, some very weird robots, bunch of different directions. I had to keep in mind, though, that those robots were sold to the people in the street, so they should not be too freaky. They could not be too cute either, because the time they turn around, they don't morph. They stay the same thing, but they have to suddenly become scary.
It is about a question of making them familiar, making people feel comfortable with them. And again, it feeds right back into Asimov's laws, which is about safety. It's about feeling secure in the knowledge that the robots can't turn on you and hurt you in any way.
The face is basically 3 levels. There's the mechanics on the inside. Then you have an underskull. On top of the skull is a soft skin, which is some kind of futuristic silicone in some ways. So if you touch him, he's soft. But behind that is a clear skeleton. So that's how you create all the layers. On that clear skeleton, you have parts, elements, like chips, wires, and all that stuff, just make it work. So it gives you many, many layers. At the same time, you're not blocking out all the transparency with a fake opaque material. That's why it's clear on the inside as well. Same thing for the chest. When that stuff was done, we started to create a robot in the computer based on those proportions and develop it and then start machining the part, like I was telling you, to create the actual lighting dummy and the hero one. From that point, that data was sent to CGI people to create the animated one.
What if you went more with a negative curve?
Going out?
Like that, yeah.
This is just the early stages.
Okay.
This is his inners. You can turn on his outer. We're working on putting mechanics up in his brow. I've got legs down here too. Oh, and this is some that Patrick designed.
Patrick did this?
Patrick did design some of these interiors, yeah.
Sonny is such a ephemeral character, and he's so subjective from scene to scene, and it takes you a long time to get to the point where you know what he should look like, because you light him a little differently, suddenly he looks completely different, and it's not just a matter of me knowing what I want him to look like and liking a certain look. There's an army of people who all have to know that, because they're the people who are making Sonny.
Another thing that just sort of came on its own when I was drawing it, I decided to kind of like replace mechanics by futuristic muscles. I thought that would make it, in some weird way, very human, and also to a little extent, a tiny bit disturbing as well, because it's almost like someone you took the skin off, like those like weird figures in laboratories. So that sort of became an appealing thing to Alex, and we went in that direction quickly and developed the muscle idea. Just to say that what I think the 2 important things about Sonny beyond the character, where I'm not really stepping in, I'm really taking care of the design, was the transparency, the sense of fashion, and also the very closeness of the human being on creating muscle rather than bolts. And that was, for me, that were all the key things that made me design that thing at the end. What you're seeing in the script, again, is that this thing can be very scary or very beautiful and angelic in some ways. What transparency does for us, and that's some of the thing I was thinking about at the beginning, is saying, we're in the interrogation room. There is the typical top light. The robot is backing up like this. You see the front of the face lit. You don't see, and this is actually a real physical thing that works in real life. You see just the outside of the face lit. If he brings in the head underneath the light, suddenly you're seeing all the inside of the head. So this figure could be very beautiful, angelic, and become suddenly this weird mechanical thing.
Alan is the soul of Sonny, as much as any regular actor appearing on film in the usual way that we know and understand. At the moment we're animating Sonny, and we're comparing the tiniest nuance that Alan makes on screen. We're analysing him to the frame and trying to have Sonny copy exactly what Alan has created, because Alan has created a great performance. I mean, he's really put it on film, and now my responsibility is to carry that through into the CG character.
This is this take. I don't like the recoil being so slow, as if I'm preoccupied with the recoil and not what's happening in the room. These 2 people have scared me. I've hid. I've now jumped out because I can't hide anymore. He's about to find me. I lose it. I thought coming in and getting a chance to look at the performance and redo it, I would have an opportunity to take what I did and improve upon it. Any mistakes I felt I made, I could hone the performance, but I was at the height of robot training when we shot this. Now I'm not.
The way I tried to equate it to everyone was think of it as an elaborate makeup effect.
I am unique.
Alan, in this case, is the soul of that character. He's the one that's created the performance, and I've directed Alan, and I continue directing Sonny now, you know. But there's certainly no way we could have created Sonny without a real human actor behind the character.
The main factor for us going with miniatures in this sequence is that there's such a high level of interaction. We have got a robot that has to create all this destruction. We've got the entire infrastructure, the architectural components of the house collapsing, and that's just such an organic process. The next step in this game is to get the automatic trigger position.
The biggest challenge in any one of these things is to make it believable. That's perhaps a bit of an overstatement, but the thing about what you're trying to achieve here is you've got to make the audience believe that your hero is really in danger. And that's the mantra for this particular sequence. Will Smith, the Spooner character, has to be in danger, in jeopardy of losing his life in every frame of the sequence.
We've got this live action shot and the camera's doing a particular move. I'm scaling that to 1/4 scale on our miniature. You know, even a small mismatch in position can throw the perspective out. So you have to really pay attention to the details. There's a lot of, again, a lot of interaction and a lot of people involved in the process.
Will Smith is running through a building that's being destroyed by a giant robot. And we've got all these things splintering and falling, and dust and mortar and chairs flying through the air and pictures being knocked off the wall. To do all that in computer graphics would be an incredibly complex task.
I'm going to airbrush the floor in this area to generate sort of a synthetic shadow, just so that we can try to match the set a little bit better. They had a bit more control over their lighting than we did because of what we're having to do here. So I'm just going to generate a false shadow, then we bring in our breakaway walls, dress those to camera, and then we're good to go.
And action! Right, back to ones, please.
If you think about the world and what lights the world are lights of a given size. And when you're dealing in a miniature world, all the lights are too big, because they're all 10 times, or in this case 4 times too big. So you have to kind of cheat that and make that look like the lights are appropriate size. In the case of this shot, the difficulty here lies in the fact that it's being combined with a live action shot. A shot that was done months ago with the actors by the first unit. This shot has to join to it, and actually they're going to put the 2 pieces of film together, composite them electronically. And so I have to anticipate the problems of putting them together and try to make that go smoothly.
You get control when you use computer graphics to a certain extent. When you're working with a miniature, you bust it up, it falls the way that it falls, and you have to live with it and go on to take 2 if you don't like it. But one thing you do get from using miniatures or any kind of model photography is it's real.
Hey.
So your hands are just kind of loose, but what you need to be is you're going to walk up here and you're going to go or whatever. So they need to be alive. Well, you have to. French thinking about it.
Hey, Paul, it's not working.
If I was going to invent a robot in the year 2035, what would I do in terms of how would I base their movement? And I just thought I would base them on a dancing Tai Chi master. You know, ballet or dance is really the ultimate form of body control and movement. Tai Chi is all about flow, energy, and balance, as is dance. And so I really just took the idea that robots that needed to be 100% concerned with their weight and their balance. You can use your hands as well to help you walk. So feel like you're wading through a pool that's, you know, up to your weight. Flat foot. Ready? Anyone doing NS5 should be here. I was sitting down at a bar in town one day, and this girl walked past, and she was walking exactly like an NS4. She was tired, she was walking uphill, and she was carrying something. But it was exactly the NS4 gait, and the whole thing. So I kind of felt happy, proud, and vindicated that, you know, how they move is is not necessarily completely different to how a human would. Okay, so there's this element that you're pushing. So your body, again, you should be forward. We don't want any extra movement. So when you're walking, there's no hips, shoulders. If you stop and stand still, there's no kind of any extra kind of movement. Once you walk and you stop.
We did quite a bit of motion capture on this show, and we've referred to it commonly as mocap. What it entails is we set up a grid on the floor to give the actors kind of a starting point. What this grid does is it tells us exactly where these actors are in space and relative to some of the sets or something that they might have interacted with. You have all of these cameras around the grid, which are infrared cameras that we use the motion analysis system with the Eagle cameras for this particular shoot, and it has an extremely high definition range, so it can pick up so many lines of resolution. The whole process is that these actors walk around with these little, they look like ping pong balls, but they're reflective balls, they're little markers all over the suit, and those cameras reflect light. Each camera has its own light source around the lens, and it shoots out light that's specific to that camera. Each camera only sees the light that comes out of its own lens. And as each camera sees the same balls but in different perspectives to where the camera's positioned, then all that data gets fed into the computer, and the computer triangulates exactly where each one of those markers is. So this marker, it can tell that this marker is on this shoulder and this marker is on the elbow, this one's his arm, just by triangulating among all these cameras.
Some sections of movement I've just redone. Now, okay, we filmed it once. Let's say, film me picking up something, running, stopping, and putting it down. We watch on the monitor, see how it's done. Okay, great. It took you 2 seconds from the time you turn to pick up the thing. You run for 5 seconds, you set it down immediately. And I have to match that action with a motion capture suit.
3, 2, 1, action.
You were startled by a jack in the box. Deactivate.
Let him go.
It's not going to hurt us. I gave you an order.
He's not listening right now, lady.
Vicky, seal the lab.
Command confirmed.
First time. Cut it.
We figure out exactly what the performer's skeleton was doing, what his bone structure was doing, and then we need to map that onto our robot bone structure, which is completely different. So the robot obviously has slighter hips, longer legs, a narrower shoulder base. His shoulders are a little bit more rigid in movement. His chest is more rigid in movement. His spine, his 3 joints in his lower spine are much more flexible. And all of that needs to be incorporated into the motion. So then they use this software, the motion analysis software, to map the human character bones onto these guys' bones, the skeleton for the robot.
We can shade it so it's all gray, but I'll put it on its...
Shade it all gray.
Do you want to
a puppeteer is used to using certain things to control a puppet to move, and we call our animation characters a puppet too. And we have certain controls to just pick and select, and you can grab and move the arm around. You don't have to worry about rotating this, and then rotating this, and then rotating the wrist, and then rotating the fingers. We have all these series of controls to make it much quicker and much easier for the animators. And by putting the motion capture data onto those controls, it puts it in the animations world, the animators world.
This is the internal skeleton inside the shaded robot. Okay. And so now we're going to make it move based on the markers, and then we'll just make that skeleton go onto the shaded robot, and voila, your shaded robot is moving.
He looks overweight.
Motion capture came out of the medical world, and it was used to figure out, joint data, and I guess help doctors figure out what's happening to the human body when it goes through these stressful things. So they needed realistic mappings or animations of what the body's doing and what all the joints are doing. Surprisingly, it found this whole other medium that started in the entertainment industry. It started in games, I believe, and then got into film, and now it's it's much bigger in entertainment than anything else.
Isaac Asimov's writing has influenced a generation, or probably countless generations of fans and also writers and scientists. I think it's interesting how many of his ideas have sort of been embraced by the scientific community. When we were developing this movie, we did a lot of research, tried to sort of study up on how real robots functioned and perhaps where they would perhaps one day go. You know, one of the things we read was Ray Kurzweil's Age of the Spiritual Machine, which was a real eye-opener in terms of projecting into the future and trying to work out where things would eventually lead us.
You know, everyone I know who's either in robotics or in the field of artificial intelligence got into it because of science fiction. You know, you see these things or you read these stories as a child and they inspire you. I think for me, it really started with seeing Star Wars when I was a very little girl.
Really inspired by the character R2-D2.
I was told when I started work on Star Wars to just use my imagination. Don't worry about how these are going to be done and how they're going to be converted to make the film. We just want to see the ideal effect.
If it weren't for Legos, I wouldn't have had the joy of putting things together, of building new things.
Was playing with erector sets and Lego and so forth all through my childhood, all through high school, all through college.
My father was a Baptist minister. Now, why in the world he was reading Flash Gordon books and Buck Rogers books to me as a 4 or 5-year-old, I have no idea.
I really wanted to build robots, but I wasn't mechanically able enough. So I ended up building simple circuits to start off with that could play simple games like NIM and tic-tac-toe. And then I kept reading the Asimov books and the Arthur C. Clarke books. And by the time I was about 12 or 13, I tried to build my first robots.
It's really just amazing what that duck did.
I mean, it ate and it digested the food, and then he pooped, and I guess I don't know whether it, drank water. I think it did. And it sort of shook its feathers and. The Turk, the automaton chess player, basically inspired people to invent the computer. I think Charles Babbage saw the Turk and got thinking about whether you could make a machine that could think or could do calculations. It's a lot of fun to watch people because everybody reacts quite differently. Some people think it's funny, and some people are, definitely alarmed by it. And I've had kids burst into tears. I guess it's called sculpture, but I tend to, refer to them in my titles as puppets and dummies, and they sort of become personalities as they develop, and I'll try not to get them to do that.
I was in Paris giving some talks, and I found him in an antique shop. He was in the window with a rose in his teeth, and I fell in love with him, but I couldn't afford him at the time. Off and on, in the summers particularly, I have spent some time trying to reverse engineer him and figure out how all the parts work. So here's the fan, which when it's on, blows cold air over this series of relays that can open up. These sensors are light sensitive. A mercury switch, which is not visible here. I guess this is the de Chevaux motor. Who made him? We don't know. At the time I bought him, I thought he might be a creation of a French roboticist named Albert Ducrot, who had written a book called The Era of Robots. And there are several pictures of Ducrot with a little toy robotic animal, his renard électromécanique, his electromechanical fox. But looking at them more closely, I think it's pretty clear that Ducrot did not make Tati. It's always seemed, I think, to us that if we can make one, we understand how it works. So you make a model of something, and if it does just what the big one does and what the real one does, then you've really proved to yourself by creating another one that you know how it works.
W. Gray Walter designed and built these remarkable robots, what are regarded now as the world's first electromechanical autonomous mobile robots.
One of the great things for me in reading Gray Walter was that he was so resource limited, and so it sort of matched what I was. So his robots, he built the mechanics out of, he said there were the gears out of gas meters, and the vacuum tubes that he used were out of radio sets.
Again, he built them not because he wanted to make robots. That was not his purpose. He built them because he wanted to illustrate some of his ideas in brain function. And he was particularly interested in the idea that intelligence, and I have to say this was a very controversial idea at the time, the idea that intelligence in brains was more to do with the degree of connectivity of brain cells than with just the number of brain cells. And he set out, therefore, to prove some of his initial ideas with these amazing robot turtles.
Around 1950 was a critical time in this kind of thinking, and it could have gone in one of two directions, top down and bottom up, digital versus analog, logical versus biological. And it went both ways for the duration of the 50s. The cybernetics movement in the 50s went the biological route rather than the logical route. But because the digital computer was just such a stonking good idea and worked so brilliantly, I think everyone went on that bandwagon. And that was what led to the 1970s very top-down, symbolic approach to AI. And it was only when we realized we still couldn't do it that we revisited some of these old ideas.
On a historical level, there's a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. And from, a top-down is, I want to make something that reasons, something that can have some sort of goal planning or an understanding of its environment. And from the bottom up, it's just surviving in a real world, getting from just moving.
The kind of direction that robotics went in the 1960s and 1970s was what we now think of as a kind of classical artificial intelligence direction, where robots became incredibly sophisticated and in many ways over-sophisticated.
The direction that robotics research goes, there's a number of there's trends, there's fads in science in the same way that there are fads in culture.
In the early days of artificial intelligence at MIT, a bunch of really smart MIT undergraduates and graduate students and professors thinking they wanted to build an intelligent machine. Now, what did intelligence mean to them? Well, they were intelligent. The stuff they did was pretty damn intelligent. What did they do? Well, they did calculus, they played chess, that sort of stuff. And so the first programs they built were ones that could do the freshman calculus exam at MIT and could play chess. And those high-level intellectual things were what they thought were difficult. The stuff that was easy was what any person walking down the street could do, or any 2-year-old could do, which was see and navigate. That must be easy. Well, it's turned out that's been the hard stuff for the last 40-some years. It was a box on wheels with a camera above it, and it used a big off-board computer. And Nilsson had developed all sorts of techniques for making a robot plan what it was going to do next so that Shaky could move around. Both the cart and Shaky would spend a lot of time doing perception, opening their eyes, looking at the world, and then building inside themselves a little world model, computationally. You can think of it as a graphics model of the world out there, and then going through alternatives of what they would do next and figuring that out for a long time, and then essentially with their eyes shut, moving 2 or 3 feet through this model in their metaphorical heads, while the world they hoped was just stable on the outside. Then they'd open their eyes again, look at the world, build a new world model, plan for a long time, and then move in the dark, in a sense.
So roboticists in the 1960s and 70s tried to build mobile robots that could reason about the world, could make maps of the world and figure out with very hard computation how to navigate through the world. And really that held up robotics, because this was not only incredibly difficult, but in fact it turns out unnecessary.
Bugs are amazing because they have a couple of hundred neurons, but they can have these stunningly complex behaviors, and they can survive fantastically in a completely random world.
And I went there and I said, okay, you've got this perception box, you've got this cognition box, and you've got this action box. I don't think there is really a cognition box. I think in things like mosquitoes, it's all perception and action, and they're all jumbled together.
My first project was building a robot called Genghis as my undergraduate thesis. Rod had these theories about making robots intelligent using very simple behaviors that would build one on top of each other. First you think about balance, then you think about walking, then you think about figuring out where to go. Sort of a bottom-up architecture as opposed to a top-down architecture, which was the theory of the day.
In biology, people talk about convergent evolution, where 2 different species in different parts of the world, but in similar sorts of environment, evolved into have very similar sorts of characteristics. I think there were 2 cases of convergent evolution going on here. One was very much in our minds. We wanted to build a model of the neural system of an insect very explicitly, to be like an insect, to get rid of that cognition box. So we were trying to make something very insect-like in the control. The physical convergence sort of happened accidentally. It certainly wasn't explicit in our minds that we were building an insect. But to get a robot that could walk on 6 legs and scramble and sense things out in front of it, the constraints just naturally ended up making something that looks rather insect-like. My intention had been to work on insect robots and sort of get them right, and then start working on a robot which might be like a reptile, and figure out how to do that, and then go to a simple mammal, and then go to an ape of some sort, and then finally get to a human. But after I'd spent 10 years working on insect-like robots, I realized there wasn't enough time left in my life to go through all those steps if they were each going to take 10 years. So I made a jump from insects all the way to humanoids, partially because there wasn't enough time, but also because of January 12th, 1992. January 12th, 1992 was Hal's birthday, the day Hal was switched on. And January 12th, 1992 rolled around, and there was no Hal. We had a birthday party at my house where all my students came. We drank champagne, ate cake. Cynthia Brazil was one of the students there. And where's Hal? And so then we said, okay, let's build Hal, but let's build it with human form. Let's put it in the world. By building a robot, we're trying to build a system which can act in the world, interact with people, and learn for itself. And our hope is that that will lead to a quicker accumulation of the sort of knowledge of what it is to act in the world so that we can have true artificial intelligence. There was no one cog. Many students worked on cog and had different software versions to run it with lots of different components.
To encourage people to interact with the robot naturally, we've built the robot to look like a human and to act like a human. Cog has 2 eyes, microphones for ears, and a set of gyroscopes that give it a sense of balance. Each of Cog's eyes has 2 cameras, one that has a very wide-angle peripheral field of view, and one that has a very narrow field of view, but much higher resolution.
So my area of specialty is the arms of Cog, and in keeping with the rest of the project, instead of trying to program the arms explicitly so that I explicitly tell the arms what they should do, I've been trying to program the arms so that they respond to their environment and interact with their environment. I have the oscillators at these 2 joints here, and they're getting feedback about how the weight of the slinky goes from arm to arm, and they're using that to coordinate the 2 joints.
When Sherry Turkle saw Cog, it was distinguishing her from other people, and at a different instant it would distinguish someone else. But it was finding a person and having a relationship with that person in applying its attention to that person, and was clearly sensing that person, because as she moved around, Cog followed her. And so there really was a connection, a personal connection that the robot had established with her, and she was forced into having, therefore, a personal connection with the robot, despite her thought, it's just a machine, a mere machine.
You put it on the ground, you turn it on, the robot has cleaned your floor. All the dirt is in here. You dump it. It's bagless. Okay. You plug it in, and it's ready to go again.
They can actually auto-dock, which means when they need more power, they can find the charger. So the analogy is when they get hungry, they just go and eat on their own. We have an infrared system on the robots, an infrared detector. It's like a tractor beam that pulls it in, and then it senses that it's on the dock, it's able to suck power, and it starts charging itself. But I really believe that in order to develop the industry, it's going to be based on product sales. So the success of the Roombas, the success of our military robots, that's going to, the military is going to come back and say, can you make it smaller? And maybe the next one will be half the weight, so it's easy to put in a backpack. Maybe the next one will be in somebody's pocket. I don't think we're just going to jump from what we have today to a nanobot and, a swarm of hundreds of thousands.
I work on the Swarm project, which is involved with studying how you can form complex group behaviors from the interactions of lots of simple individuals. So the work is inspired a lot by things like ants and bees, trying to understand how they can form large communities and accomplish very complicated tasks by using very simple individual insects. Okay, here's one of our robots, and each robot is equipped with lots of sensors. So the first sensor is the biggest one. This is the bump skirt. Lets the robot know when it's hit obstacles, when it's run into walls. There's a camera on the top that lets them see things in their environment. There is an infrared communication system that's all around the robot that lets them talk to their neighbors and see what's going on. There's a big set of lights on the top of the robot that lets the robots talk to us. When you have 100 robots on the ground, you can't read 100 little screens on top of each one. You need some way so you can survey the entire swarm and tell what they're doing. We call it reading swarmish. As sophisticated as they are, these robots are not dissimilar from Grey Walter's tortoise. They're still behavior controlled. They have a set of actions that they're doing. And the tortoise would respond to light and head toward the charger and do a very simple set of tasks. Each swarm robot operates in a very similar way to that robot. The big difference is that Grey Walter, I think, had 2 tortoises. I've got 116 robots. 112.
The beauty of the swarm robotics approach is that each individual robot is very simple, therefore it's cheap, it's disposable. If you have a large number of these, then you can tolerate the failure of quite a number of them without compromising the, if you like, the overall mission that you're trying to accomplish.
I think the reason we create robots that look like people, anthropomorphic, is because we're fascinated with ourselves. And remember, our favorite Christian book, the Bible, says that God made man in his own image.
I work in my garage in the middle of the countryside, and I build robots because I'm curious about how I work, what I am. Just like everyone else, we're all intensely curious about what we are.
Well, then if you make something else in your image, you're God. I think it's a very, very tantalizing thing to do.
Ultimately, I'm fascinated by what makes us us. Now, I believe we are machines. We're mechanistic. We're just a bunch of biomolecules interacting according to the laws of physics and chemistry. And out of that comes us. How do we emerge out of that billions and billions of interactions of little things?
The only good thing about computers is that they're great for modeling materials that you don't have. So I can't make real nerve cells, but I can make virtual nerve cells. And so to me, a computer is just a space in which to build things. And inside the space inside Lucy's computers, I build nerve cells and chemical reactions, and I plug those together. So that's biology. So inside Lucy is virtual biology, not program code. Inside her skin, she has a loudspeaker for a voice and 2 microphones for ears. But a voice, for example, I mean, a loudspeaker doesn't speak. Anyone with any sense would put a speech synthesizer chip in to make her speak, but because I'm interested in biology and brains don't have speech synthesizer chips, brains tweak lungs and move larynxes. So Lucy has lungs and a larynx and mouth and tongue and lips. It's just that they're not real ones, they're virtual ones. So she has a mathematical model of the vocal tract inside her, and that's connected to an amplifier and to a speaker. And out of it should come her wonderful voice. What actually comes out is a kind of sound so far. But one day I hope she'll learn to say dada.
I'm the creator of Kismet, and I'm also the pioneer of socially intelligent robots that will someday play a part of our daily lives. The thing that really distinguishes me from the rest of the field is that I really focus on human-robot interaction. It's about how people and robots interact, relate, communicate, learn. It's fundamentally about partnership between humans and machines. Robots are going to be robots, and they're not people and they're not animals. Excitement. So when the robot has a facial expression or does a gesture, disgust, you in your head are interpreting that as this is what the robot must be thinking. That has to actually match in that case and what is actually going inside the robot's head.
Extreme
so
anger.
Is there this set of this kind of good design principle, the interface of as it's expressing, you know, a certain kind of affective state to you? Is that actually matching what's going on in its head so that now its expressive, observable behavior is useful and readable to you to help you understand the robot? If you're going to talk about something like social behavior, which is this very sophisticated thing, there's top down, there's bottom up, there's inside out, there's outside in. I mean, it's this whole hodgepodge. I mean, as you design these architectures, once these robots get sophisticated enough in their how they interact with you in the environment, I mean, that's what you get. And not surprisingly, that's a lot what the human brain looks like too. You know, it's not this one way or other way, but it's all kinds of stuff. That's what you end up getting. And I'd say that's really what Kismet excelled at, was a sense of when you were interacting with Kismet, you really felt that there was someone there, so to speak, rather than just talking at a machine.
The theory is that anything sufficiently complicated as a mechanism will have a personality. I mean, my Cadillac has a personality.
I think my vision of what robots are going to be for the home is just a really nice vision that's very different from what we're building now. We're building these kind of appliance robots and these tool robots, but the notion of a robot that we actually really enjoy having in our lives, I think is critical for accepting them.
There is a necessity of some sort of unpredictable behavior in, for example, a robotic companion. That if it does everything methodically, if you know what it's going to do before it does it, then it seems artificial. But as soon as it displays some sort of will of its own, that if you tell it to do something, it won't do it, then it has a personality.
You'll hire a robot or have it made up and then disposed of when you no longer need it. If you go to a luxury hotel, they might very well assign you, I mean, now the escort business has sort of a shady reputation, but if it was a robot, there'd be bodyguard, companion, download, message center, everything in one ambulatory or floating or whatever the motive power might be. To me, science fiction is reality ahead of schedule. And the whole idea of imagining what could happen, eventually it does.
Science works by making hypotheses and then disproving them. And science fiction can perform the same service, that it can set up scenarios for people to think about. And then when those scenarios don't happen, it might not be because the science fiction was wrong, but because the science fiction made us avoid those things. So anything that enables us to think about problems is good. When Asimov started writing, there were no computers. We had nothing that we could actually try to make intelligence from. And so the basis for his ideas were the same as the basis for the computer, which was the work of people like Charles Babbage on automating thought. And Alan Turing, who did the theoretical work that was the basis of the digital computer, was interested in automating thought, the idea of an algorithm, a series of steps that can mindlessly solve problems. And I think that was the spirit that lay behind Asimov's views of robotics, the assumption that robots were going to be logical machines, that if they were really good, they'd be able to play chess. And it was only when people started to build robots they realized that it was not falling over that was the hard problem, and that chess was easy. And that logic is not a good way of dealing with questions like how not to fall over, or how to walk, how to pick things up.
The word spiritual in the age of spiritual machines has a couple of connotations. The most important one is spiritual as in conscious. And if we think about what we mean by spiritual values, consciousness is really the key to it. We consider a human being precious. We talk about things like the soul and other hard-to-define qualities, and what we're really getting at is that a person is conscious. It's not just a mechanism that has no feelings and no sense of self. And it's very hard to actually define consciousness. It's actually not a scientific concept, but it's a very important one. Our whole moral system, our legal system, is based on this issue of consciousness. If somebody kills somebody, they're destroying that person's consciousness. That's a very serious crime, maybe the most serious crime. If you physically assault someone and cause suffering to that person, that's a serious crime, maybe a little bit less serious. If you destroy property, well, if it's your own property and if the society has no special interest in it because it's not of historical value, then that's perfectly okay. If I destroy your property, it's not okay, not because I'm causing suffering to the property, but because I'm causing suffering to you, the owner of the property. So consciousness and our impact on each other's consciousness is the whole core of our moral, ethical, and legal system. So a key issue is, will these future entities that have the complexity, subtlety, suppleness of human intelligence that are indistinguishable from humans, are they conscious?
Maybe Lucy will dream. Dreams really interest me because they're like emotions. Dreams are something precious to us. I mean, we have nightmares, but we wouldn't want to give up our dreams. Our dreams are really important. They tell us something about consciousness. You're conscious in your dreams. You know, you're not conscious of the outside world, but you are conscious of a world. It's a world you create inside your own mind. And that's where consciousness is. We're not conscious of the outside world even when we're awake. We think we are, but we aren't. We live in a virtual world inside our heads. That's why we can daydream and drift off. It's why we can ask what-if questions. And that is the key thing that I'm interested in with Lucy, is trying to understand where those models of the world, where that virtual reality comes from.
In the 21st century, we will have to confront these as real practical issues. We will have entities that are completely non-biological, that claim to be conscious, that have feelings, and those claims will be credible. They will have the subtle cues that we associate with being happy and angry and jealous and so on. Today, if a character in a video game, which is a virtual human or a robot, claims to be happy, mad at you, it's not very convincing because they don't have the complexity and subtlety as of humans. So my whole prediction is by 2030, and certainly when we get to 2035, the date of the movie, those claims will be very credible. And my prediction is we will believe those claims because they will be very convincing. They'll be very intelligent. They'll be able to convince us. If we don't believe them, they'll get mad at us. We won't want that. So people will believe them. That's not really a philosophical statement. That's a psychological and political prediction. Ultimately, we can't fully resolve the philosophical issue, but I think from a practical perspective, society will accept that. And moreover, even biological humans, by 2035, will have the bulk of their thinking taking place in the non-biological portion of their intelligence. So even a biological human is going to be largely a robot. We'll be able to actually scan the brain from inside the brain by the mid-2020s, actually sending nanobots, which are scanners, inside the brain, billions of them, and scan the brain from inside to get extremely high-resolution images of the brain in action. That will give us the data to develop very high-quality models and simulations of the brain. And so I believe by 2029 we'll have fully reverse-engineered the brain. We're going to go beyond biology and beyond the classifications of species. So it's not going to be a different species because we're going to transcend biology and it's going to have nothing to do with species. It will be very different from today's humanity, and it's hard for us to imagine the capabilities we will have when we're much more intelligent. In my mind, we'll still be doing the same things. We'll be creating music, we'll be creating art, we'll be creating literature, science, technology. We'll just be vastly more capable of it, but we'll still be pursuing knowledge, and there'll always be limitations, and the more we know, the more we don't know, and those will be our future frontiers. And in my mind, this future intelligence is human. It's just a post-biological form of humanity.
In the 60s, when we had the race to the moon, there was this great, there was this idea that engineers and scientists were heroes. And I want to bring that back again.
I think the biggest misconception about the current status of AI is that we know what we're doing. People quite reasonably assume that we scientists are gradually walking along a well-lit path towards some great goal, and every day we step a little bit further. And I don't think that's true. I think we fundamentally don't have a clue how to solve the problems at the moment. And that AI is to real intelligence what alchemy was to chemistry. We only have chemistry because we had alchemists, but the alchemists were wrong. And what they lacked was a set of principles. What they needed to understand was the periodic table, the basic laws that underlie chemistry. And once they got that, then alchemy turned into chemistry and everything could proceed. And AI is lying in that position. It's alchemy. We're trying lots of stuff, and it's good to try lots of stuff because one day we'll hit on the answer, but we don't have it yet. And I don't think we really know any way forward yet.
Introducing the NS5, the world's first fully automated domestic assistant. What will you do with yours? Get ready for the I generation. Build yours at www.irobotnow.com.